So in addition to be able to sort things and to also filter rows, we can use something called categories, which is somewhere in between and much more powerful. In fact, it's very similar to a feature that many people love in Excel called pivot tables. The way categories works is you have a table like this. And notice here under product we have a variety of products, but they repeat. So here's a bunch of apples, here's a bunch of bananas. And let's say we want to group all the apples together, all the bananas together, all the peaches together. We could of course sort, and it would sort them so all the apples were first and the bananas were next. We could also click here on the top of the column and there's our sorting options, but we could also do add category for product, product being the name of that column. When I do it, watch what happens. The table breaks out into something completely different, but the data is all the same. Notice now it's figured out that there are three things in the product column. There's apple, banana, and peach. And it's grouped them all together. And it's kept all the rows together just like sorting would do. But now we have these little reveal triangles here. We could actually collapse these so we could focus on something. We can focus on just the ones with banana. We can focus on just the ones with apple. And like with the sorting and filtering options, we have the ability to control it in the sidebar. So we'll go to Organize, but instead of Sort or Filter, we're going to be under Categories. And we see here it's already set up for what we've done. So it's got Show Groups for Product, and we can do by value or some other type of way of grouping them. If we were to change this, instead of product, let's do by date. Now we can say by month or week or year or quarter. So we don't just have to group exact dates, say all the March 19th and all the March 30th. We can group things by the actual month, so it's smart enough to figure out here's everything in March, here's everything in April. And we could, in addition to that, sort, so these would be sorted. We could also do multiple ones. So for instance, we can go back to product here and I can add a category and say also do by date by month. So here's apple, and then apple has March, April, and May. Banana has March, April, May, July, August, September. So you can basically have levels to everything. We can get rid of that one there. Now you could also do calculations on these. Remember before how we had a footer row at the bottom, and even when we filtered things, like we say we just wanted to see the apples, the sum would still be the sum of all of the rows. Well, by using categories you can get the sum of just apples. So we'll go over here to Amount and click here. So notice how we have this kind of empty column here. This is just an indent. And we also have these rows that are created. You can see there's a blank space next to them. They're not numbered rows. These are the special row here that just is the header for that category. So when I click here, instead of being able to type in it, I have this little setting control. I can click on that and it allows me to have a summary item for this. So I could say let's do a subtotal. And what the subtotal is going to do is it's going to add up all the stuff in this column, but just for apple. And notice how it does it for the other categories as well. So we get a subtotal for apple, a subtotal for banana, a subtotal for peach. We could do other ones as well. So I can click here and say let's get the average price. So now I've got the average price for each purchase there. So there are a lot of different things that you can do here in this special row that's created for each category. And this makes it very powerful to be able to switch around here exactly what it is you're looking at. Like I can switch to date, and now I've got March and I've got the subtotal and the average for March from the date from that column. I could go back to say product very easily to see the subtotal, average, or some of these other things, minimum, maximum, for instance. You could do the count, the number of items there as well. So I could go over here, for instance, and do count, and now I could see that there's 7, 6, and 4. Obvious here, but if there are 400, then the exact number may not be that easy to see. And like with filtering, you can turn categories on and off. So if this is a view that you want to commonly see for your table, but now it's time to enter more data, you can just simply turn categories off. The table goes back to as it was before. Now I can add another piece of data here. And now I can say, okay, time to go back to the view that I need, which is here. And now you can see Apple has that new entry there, and it's all added into the subtotal, average, and count. And I could focus in on just that one very easily like that. So it's a very useful function, and if you use pivot tables in Excel before, this is different. This works differently, but it can be used to achieve a lot of the same results. A lot of what people use pivot tables for in Excel, they can use categories for in Numbers.